I do want to also say one thing that California Adventure, I think, that was added in 2012 that's absolutely brilliant, along with Cars Land, is Buena Vista Street. And absolutely brilliant. And the reason why I love it so much is that it's because it's a perfect bookend to Disneyland. Main Street.
Absolutely.
Main Street was Walt's early life, his childhood, Marceline, Missouri, you know? And Buena Vista Street is really like his later years when he's in his like early 30s, I think, when he was trying
to come up.
What was that?
On his come up, like basically coming into Southern California and making a mark on it. That's basically how I tell people.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, that young man, Walt Disney, that just arrived to Hollywood. It's such a perfect bookend to that childhood Walt of Marceline, Missouri. The way they did that was so brilliant, so perfect for DCA. I absolutely love that. And that was one of the things I think that really put, along with Cars Land, DCA on the map, because DCA has one of the best entrances for a Disney park, in my opinion. I'm in love with Buena Vista Street.
Speaking of,
welcome to Disney California Adventure.
Didn't play that earlier.
Yes.
I completely agree with you, Orange Grove. When I, in 2012, for the reopening of DCA, when it was all done, I mean, we had worked with construction walls for years and years and years, and when it was finally all done, I was most blown away with Buena Vista Street, and I knew the importance of it because it sets the tone, it sets the stage, it sets expectations, and it was just everything was raised, and that signified even more than Cars Land to me. That was the rebirth of DCA, and it actually had heart, it actually had soul, you know, and I had kind of. You know, I was actually at that D23 Expo where they went into a lot of it. They had the model on display, and I was just like, "Oh man, this is so cool." And they talked about it and how, you know, they put so much heart, they put so much love into that. The tiles, the textures, even the kind of you know, what they use for ground coverage. You know, it changes textures, you know, multiple times. The lighting, everything, chef's kiss, perfect.
And it was such. The way you know Disney gets it right is when the new thing feels like it's always been there. It's like the Fantasyland that Tony Baxter had in the early 80s. You know, the new Fantasyland in the 80s. It's like it's always been there. It's such a perfect upgrade to what was there with the medieval stuff. It was such a perfect upgrade to that it just always feels like, hey, this has always been Fantasyland, even though it's fairly new, 30 years or more. But that's how you feel about Buena Vista Street. It's like it's always been there. And that's how you know Disney got it so perfect, is when you feel like it's always been there, they did it right. It doesn't feel like an add-on. It doesn't feel like an overlay. No. It just feels like such a perfect, no-brainer kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. I forgot, like, the other day where I was watching something, and they showed the sun in the wave pool that came along with it.
Oh, yeah.
And that was wiped away from my memory. I totally forgot that was there. And we're not too distant from that. That's 11 years ago that was there. So for Disney to have that imprint in my mind of Buena Vista Street, maybe it was because Buena Vista Street, I was there almost every 3 weeks or every month when it was free, but I was growing to love it. Like when I first went into DCA, I took like a 2-year break from it and came back in 2014. And like Vash was saying, it signifies 2.0. Like just seeing the walls and seeing them construct it and then seeing the final product, it meant more to me to see Buena Vista Street than to see Cars Land. I'll be completely honest with you guys.
Totally.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
DCA was one of the great comeback stories of the Iger era. I mean, it really was. I mean, going to that park before that renovation and then going to it now. I know people complain about certain things. I mean, we've talked about Pixar Pier and things like that, but it's still 1,000 times better than what we had in the early 2000s. I mean, it's an incredible transformation.
Immeasurably. And you know, it's just the storytelling, the craftsmanship. It's just all this stuff. I mean, you remember, like, they had licensed music when you walked in, you know, like
Beach Boys.
Beach Boys. Oh my God, if I had to hear that.
They do that during Food and Wine. So we'll say that's still around, but it's just not
well,
as big.
at least it's kind of a novelty and not just every single day, you know? Oh my gosh. But I just, man, I can't tell you. I can go on about it for days. I just love it. The trolley and like Orange Grove said, you know, it's a perfect bookend. If you were to walk from the hub to Main Street to Disney California Adventure, you see almost like the progression of styles going from the turn of the century to the 1920s, 1930s, even in like the lighting and how the lighting technology got better, how conveyance got better, how, you know, everything progressed as they moved further west and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, God, I really love that land.
Me too.
That's where I actually got to meet Oswald. I mean, that was like one of the best moments after the fact, because I never got to see DCA 1.0, thank God, and I got to see it during the construction period when Buena Vista Street and Cars Land were just being built. So my first expectation of DCA was, okay, go in there with an open mind, because I'm literally going to be walking through the turnstiles and walking in between two walls. Yeah. That's basically what it was. And then when I went back after the fact, everything was open. It gave me a feeling of transporting into that time era, as if you're walking down on Main Street, and when you get to that central hub, you see Walt and Mickey, where it's like, okay, this is where he ended. But with Buena Vista Street, it's where he began. You know, $40 and a suitcase. It was, you know, that's all it was. And it shows his journey, and the Carthay Circle restaurant based off of the theater where Snow White premiered. And I mean, you can't get any better than that.
Well, and it was so brilliant I mean, this is why they're Imagineers. I mean, they really are brilliant. I mean, it was so brilliant and genius to take the idea of the partner statue and to do like a young Walt of like the 30s. I mean, that was such a brilliant move. And to kind of have that take, and then to bring it to ground level where people can be up close and take pictures with it, where that's honestly, in all honesty, I think that's, and I don't speak for Walt, obviously, but I think he would appreciate that statue more probably than the partner statue. Because the partner statue, he's elevated like some god, you know? Mm-hmm. The Buena Vista Street statue is more like, you know, he's one of us. We're all taking pictures with Walt and Mickey. He's one of us. I think he would have appreciated that approach a lot more, in my opinion.